Hopefully you guys can hear us okay. Tim, first thing I want to lead off with there, thank you, Bates. Appreciate you, man. If you'll give me, actually, I'll just throw it up real quick. Let's do a screen grab here. This was Greg Cosell once again. Earlier, we played an audio before you hopped on this morning, him talking about Maxwell Harrison. Well, here he is talking about Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. This is very, very interesting comments from Greg Cosell once again. Keep in mind how much zone we played last year, right? And listen what Greg Cosell says here. This is on One Bills Live, an awesome show that he appears on pretty regularly. You guys listen, whether you're a Bills fan or not. Obviously, you're Packers fans hearing my voice for the most part. We got some fan bases that tune in. But if you'll hop over there, they do excellent draft coverage. You definitely want to show them some love. It's called One Bills Live. Here's Greg Cosell on Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss.
This is the guy I was talking about that I think fits the Bills because I think he's a really good zone corner. Now, he can play press, but, I mean, you're dealing with a guy that's 6'1", 195. Brownie, he actually ran really well at the Combine. There was, a lot of talk before the Combine. I actually did his tape in detail before the Combine, and I really liked his tape. I watched 6 games, and I was very anxious to see his athletic testing, and it was pretty good. I mean, I think he ran a 4.43, and again, not that that means everything, but 40 times for corners usually do mean something. And I really thought that, he played zone really, really well. I thought he could read receiver splits and routes. I thought he communicated really well on the back end. I thought he had a good sense of spacing. I thought he kind of understood the conflict areas in zone. I thought he played with good eye discipline. I mean, I think this guy can play both, but I think he's a good zone corner prospect. And to me, I don't think there's that many of those guys in college. So when I see one, it stands out.
All right, there you go. Some pretty high praise there from Greg Cosell when it comes to Trey Amos. I always get Trey Amos and Trey Harris mixed up every single time. It never fails. So he got the 5-point Greg Cosell bonus there. And let's see where that puts him now on the board, Tim, because he's slowly climbing up here, man, as Trey Amos is now in the 44 spot on our big board. Remember, we had the tweet, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that talked about there was confirmation. Someone had mentioned there were several people from the Packers down there with their eyes on Trey Amos pretty closely. They've already met with him before that pro day, and he obviously meets the athletic threshold for cornerbacks for the Packers. So in the 44 spot, man, again, 2022 PFF grade, he was 309th. Then he improved all the way to 160th at his position. Then he jumped all the way to 21st. The PFF big board had him in the 28th spot. The consensus big board had him at 45. Kyle Krabs had him at 30. Dane Brugler had him at 93. A little bit of difference there, obviously. His RAS scored him an 8+ last I checked. I'll go confirm that right now. And then, of course, the Greg Cosell bonus, that puts him in the 44 spot. What do you think about Trey Amos, man?
Yeah, versatility, right? There's that magic word. I think he's pretty versatile corner. He's got the good size, good build, right? 6'1", 190, something like that. PFS got him right at 40 right now, graded out 85.6 last year, 19th out of all corners. So, here we go again, another Ole Miss guy, right? And someone that you should definitely have on the radar.
Yeah, they are everywhere, all over this draft. And again, with the connection, guys, I know I'm hearing that people are saying the camera's blurry. That's probably a good thing. If it's my camera, I'll just leave it at that. But as long as you guys can hear okay, that's all that matters, right? So we did have some storms blow through. That's probably what it was. I'm sure it shook some stuff up out here with the local intrawebs that we've got here in terms of service. So Trey Amos, keep an eye on him again in the 44 spot. If he's sitting there at 54, that's a no-brainer. The question will Goody and his gang like him enough to say, hey, let's take him at 23? I wouldn't rule out anything with this draft because, again, when people hear that, Tim, they probably think you're crazy. There's no way I would draft Trey Amos at 23. We're going off our board, right? We're going off just the tools that we have and the very little knowledge that we have around the game and the draft. But you'll remember back to what Daniel Jeremiah said, Tim. He said from 20 to 60, we have no idea what's going to happen. Like, we pretty much know what those top 20 players are. There's like 7 to 10 blue chips, it looks like. Then you got that next tier of players. And then you jump from 20 to 60 is like these guys could go anywhere. Well, guess what? Trey Amos is in the 44 spot. We're picking 23rd. If a former NFL scout says, hey, look, these guys, anybody between 20 and 60 is worthy of the 21st pick, and he didn't all out say that, but that's kind of what he's alluding to is these guys are that close, and there was time for them to separate, obviously, but don't be surprised, man. Maybe Goody falls in love with one of these players that we see in the 40s or 50s. I mean, last year with Jordan Morgan, he was in the 30s, and we took him in the 20s, right, on our big board. So that makes sense.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to go corner and Jahdae Barron's not on the board. I know we got lucky a couple of times with some mocks and we're able to get him early, but I think Amos would be you could call it a reach, but it all depends on how you look at it. I think if they got a good grade on him, I wouldn't be upset at all if Goody pulled the trigger. Of course that would tilt the board when it comes to other position groups, but that's why you put the grades that you have on the guys and you take the visits that you take. Because of the fact that you don't know how things are going to shape out on draft day. So you've got to be prepared. I'm fully confident that we will come away from this draft addressing